So it is February 19th, 2025, and I have finished season 9, episode 8 of Grey's Anatomy. And I know I was never like a big supporter of Mark and Lexi, or SLEXIE, I guess as the fans call it, but I didn't want them to end like that. Like holy shit. So my major complaint about Mark and Lexi was not necessarily their chemistry, it was their age gap. Like they just kept trying to make it work and then it would always end in tears and I'm just like, can we just skip this part? Like can we get them with some age appropriate people, please? Like this was just too on again, off again for me. Like I get why this appeals to other people. It's just not my ship. That being said though, individually, I loved these two characters and I'm very sad that they're gone. To continue along the conversation line of ships of choice, I would die for these two. There is something about these two, they are electric on the screen together. And April's struggle of like falling in love with somebody and expressing that love via sex in a way that isn't approved by the church that she grew up in, I understand that struggle. Like, I'm with you, girly. That being said, though, I totally get how Jackson feels, and I get how he's trying to like be understanding of the whole situation because this isn't something that he understands. But when there's like a pregnancy scare, and April's like, "Oh, thank God, thank you, Jesus! Like I'm not having his baby." Meanwhile, Jackson's like, "I would have risked it all for you. I was gonna marry you," and I'm like, "Oh." I get both of your points of view here. I hope you two can work it out. I know that they can because April and Jackson have to fuck up a wedding later. But I'm here for the journey. I'm here for the journey. They tried to do this very sneaky thing in the season 9 premiere where they tried to make it sound like Arizona died in the crash because Callie is basically acting like she's like in an active grieving process, which makes sense because Mark is her bestie and Mark just died. But at the end of the episode, it's like, oh shit, Arizona didn't die. She just lost her leg. And then season 9, episode 2 gets into like the actual like nitty gritty of what happened after the crash and why Arizona is like being such a bitch to Callie. Like I understand Arizona's frustration because she was like, promise you won't cut off my leg, and then Callie cut off her leg. But if it's a promise between like the leg and the life, I think Callie could live with a broken promise to keep her alive and cut off her leg rather than keep the promise and then she doesn't have a wife anymore, you know? So Arizona is being really resentful of the whole situation and she is in physical therapy now and she's doing better. This moment happens where Callie's like, she's treading really lightly around Arizona and Arizona's like, I fell down, but it's okay. I got back up. And Callie starts to see like a turning of the corner here. So I hope these two can get their shit together. And this is why I wanted them to have marriage counseling before they got married, because now they're in like some real shit and I don't know if they have the communication skills to get through it. Oh, this reminds me about something about Mark that just really pissed me off during the season 8 finale, where he's like, oh, Lexi's waiting for me. And like, I understand like he's in love with Lexi and like all of that stuff. But like, you're still a father. You still have a daughter. You have like a baby mama and a baby mama's wife who are heavily invested in your life and want you to live. He just gave up, and like I understand that like he had internal injuries. It wasn't necessarily his fault that like he died and all that, and it definitely wasn't his fault that he died, but that just wasn't some like it just didn't sit right with me when I watched that scene. We got a whole new slew of interns. The most prominent one right now is this woman, Jo, and I feel like they're gonna set her up with Alex. I have like a sneaking suspicion that they're going to set her up with Alex, and I don't want this to happen because I'm still not over Izzie. It has been almost 3 seasons. I still support her rights. I still support her wrongs. I want her back. I do. I know she's not coming back. I know like there's like an issue with her and the showrunner. I know she's not coming back, but I want her back. I want my girl back. That being said though, she seems nice. If she is getting with Alex, I'm really not looking forward to another intern and attending storyline again, but this just seems to be the Grey's Anatomy bread and butter, so I will deal. Aside from like the Alex of it all though, I do like her. I like this crop of interns so far. And hopefully they don't all like, get fired or die like the last crop. Meredith and Derek are doing better, which is great considering that they were just coming out of like, the most traumatic plane crash ever. And Meredith is actually pregnant. That was like the last thing that happened in Grey's Anatomy as of what I've seen. Like she just told Derek that she's pregnant. Which, good for you, girly. I'm so jealous. Good for you. Congratulations. So jealous of you. Also, the surviving people on the plane crash, they are suing the hospital. They were considering taking a settlement, but then they didn't take the settlement. They're gonna take it like to trial and like the whole thing. So more than likely, they're gonna win a shit ton of money. So that is Meredith, Derek, Christina, Arizona, and I guess Callie on Mark's behalf for his daughter. Because of the way that like everything shook out, it is actually kind of Owen's fault that they were on this plane, because Owen, like, he signed some shit like a budgetary thing, so they ended up using like a cheaper plane charter company, and then that company is what caused the plane to crash. So now Owen has to grapple with like the guilt of this, like he traumatized a bunch of his doctors without meaning to. He also went out of his way to get Christina back after she left for the Mayo Clinic, because Christina didn't stay for very long after like the whole plane crash happened, because she's like, I'm fucking getting out of here. But then she eventually does come back, which more on that later. But Owen was basically like, "Oh, I hired you because like you're like important, like you're good business." And he's trying to keep like an emotional like wall between them because Christina left him because of the fucking cheating that he did. Fuck Owen Hunt. And Christina, for her part, spent a bunch of these episodes in Minnesota hanging out with Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. And she gets involved in like a power struggle there. She wears like dark green scrubs the whole time, which is pretty cool. And she doesn't make a whole lot of friends out there, but she does become very close with Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney being the guy who did her exam for her residency. Like he was the guy who was asking her the questions, and she thought she was going to fail, and then she passed, and then that's why she ended up picking the Mayo Clinic, because of this guy. But then, Mr. Feeney dies like in the middle of an operation, like, and the operation is actually like part of a power struggle between him and like the chief of the Mayo Clinic at the time, who Christina was sleeping with, which, ugh, girly, make better choices. And that make better choices theme for this season is really holding for Christina, because now that we're back, she's back in Seattle, she wants Owen back. And I'm like, this man fucking cheated. You kicked him out of your home because he didn't remember the girl's name. Like, that stuff all still holds. Like, what are you doing, Christina? Anyway, this is the up to season 9, episode 7. Episode 8 is what I'm going to start. And I look forward to continuing the show. And I'm interested to see at the end of the season 9 finale what kind of major culling event is going to happen that's going to knock down the cast a few members, just to keep everything manageable. So at some point, like, I'm expecting like 3 people to die at the end of the season. I just am.